Cool, then you're in the right spot. All right. So my name is Barb Bedwell. So you did find me. You're in the right spot. I'm crazy enough to be thinking about doing this trip for spring break. It is through a company called EF, which has been doing educational tours for like a long time. Like I said, it's kind of embarrassing to say that I went on an EF tour when I was 16. That was in the 80s, so it was a while ago. They still offer the same tour, which is amazing because it was like the Chateau of France or something like that. I went with a French class. Ms. Miller, Jamie Miller, has been doing tours with EF here for quite a few years, and she just kind of decided to kind of retire from that. And so I'm deciding to take it over. And for me, since I'm not a foreign language teacher, and for a variety of other reasons, I thought this year might be a better option to go, hey, come on in, grab some snacks and stuff if you want, please. Join us, you're here, just in time. But I kind of felt like for me, it would make more sense to go on more of like a science type itinerary. For me, rainforests, volcanoes, and cool things like that are definitely way more in my wheelhouse than museums and chateaus and things like that, which I love. So we'll start this off with a second, just gonna kind of see what the EF tour experience is like. It's like I think it's like a 2-minute super marketing video. So I'm gonna hit play on it. It's kind of fun if it'll go. I'll hit the actual button there and I'll make it go better. So it's a marketing video. I did not make this one, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I would love to go to New York, Paris, Australia, Ireland, Tokyo, Japan, Washington, D.C., Monaco, Belgium. I want to explore the other side of the world. I have no idea what to pack. These are my guides to read on the plane. My mom's credit card.
Nice. Do not give your child a credit card. Hey, Brett.
I see, so I have to go to these places. And I long for the day that I can actually say, I fell in love with this place.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, she wasn't here when I came back. So I will pay. I have my check. $17 popcorn. Tourists or I'll talk about There's so many cool things. We get to do that. I like the sound. This looks sick. It's super cool. No, this is just a fun little intro video. Bus face all the time. Like total bus face.
We are in Italy.
On a beach in Italy. You can only understand the beauty. We're not coming home. Nope.
He's like, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, here we go now.
All right. So just for silly stuff in terms of kind of where we're going, I mean, that little video is really fun, but, and I know that we're not going to all of those places. This will be my, I think, 5th EF tour as a chaperone, my 6th as a person, because I went on one when I was a kid. And every time I've gone on tours, that's pretty much how kids have acted. I mean, it's just like they let down their guard, they have a lot of fun, they make new friends, they're seeing someplace new. And it just can be an incredible experience to allow kids to be kids again in a very different environment than anything that we can offer here in school. So yeah, we're going to go to Costa Rica is where this particular plan, this particular itinerary is. So I figured I'd show you their little video of kind of some of the spots in Costa Rica that kind of get highlighted in there. I'll show you some more about that too. This is the itinerary that we'll be going on if we go there. So we start off in the capital city of San Jose. And then we go through a couple of different regions. So we do kind of travel across the country and get to see a really wide variety of things. And we actually leave from Liberia, which is a city that's over on this side of it. So we'll enter one airport and exit a different airport. So just to get an idea, oops, missed it. Just to get an idea, will it not play? I can go find it the other way, where we are going and kind of what it's like when we're there. Some of the stuff that we get to see on this particular trip, if you want to go there. It's amazing diversity in terms of just the number of different ecosystems, the number of different plants and animals.
Here at 9Oct National Park in Costa Rica, we're hanging out at the beach right now. It's awesome.
Looks terrible, doesn't it?
It's all secluded. There's a bunch of forest over here. You can see some swamps. There's a lot of cool scenery.
They're thieves. Nasty little critters. Right? No, you cannot take them home. Sorry, it's quiet. I've actually done this exact zip line. You don't have to do it, by the way. If you're like terrified of heights, you can hike underneath. So you don't have to.
They showed us some traditional dances. The culture is definitely what makes Costa Rica. The people, the language. I love it here.
There's a completely awesome volcano right there. Best thing I've ever done in my entire life. It's so fun.
You definitely learn more about yourself and the people around you by visiting other countries.
It's a good way to become more independent in a place where you're not normally that comfortable. I would recommend it to anybody who's looking for adventure and looking for fun.
So pretty much the only thing in that little video that we're not doing is horseback riding. That's the only part of it that's in there. We're not going specifically to that park that he mentioned at the very beginning, Manuel Antonio. We're going to a different part of that coast. But so other than that, I should turn off autoplay. That would be so much nicer. Other than that, that's a pretty good idea of kind of what the tour is going to look like. So in terms of who can go, who it's for, who's it intended for, these trips are meant for students. They're not meant for adults. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, parents. They're meant for kids. And it's important for students to have some time away from parents to be able to express and kind of figure out who they are in a very different sort of environment. So for me, not having parents there is actually, it's an okay thing, though. It ends up being I'm the mom for the whole group. My husband's going to be the other chaperone, so we'll have a male and a female chaperone at least. But in terms of not having parents there, kids are very different around their parents. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not. But the purpose on going on a trip like this is to have students kind of figure out who they are a little bit more and to be able to let down their own guard. And if parents are there, I find that students are always looking to their parents. Hey, can I do this? Hey, can I have some money? Hey, can I do this? As opposed to if they're there by themselves, they have to be independent. They have to figure out how to deal with their own stuff. Seniors, when I say seniors with interview, taking seniors on a trip like this is always really iffy because they're seniors and they don't have a lot of time left. And there's discipline, things like that. There's not much we can do. What are we gonna say? You're not going to graduate because you misbehaved on a trip? We're not going to do that either. So with seniors, if seniors would like to go on this, I would like to talk to them personally rather than just, yeah, go ahead and sign up. I'm not opening it up that way. That's not how I run trips at all. It's not a free-for-all in a lot of ways. So if it's seniors that I know that I'm pretty sure would be mature enough to go on a trip like this and not do completely rude things in a foreign country, then I'm okay with that. So there will be a little bit of an issue of selectivity in terms of who gets to go and who doesn't go. So I'll probably be talking to parents. Other teachers, like I said, make sure that the students that were going on this trip are not just completely, as crazy as the monkeys. So yeah, I want it to be a variety of kids, but I don't necessarily want it to be any kids that can just show up. I mean, I can't be too picky, but anyway. In terms of what we're doing, this is what we call an educational tour. It's not a vacation. You need to be really clear that this is not, we get to go sit on the beach for like 6 days and someone's going to serve us and that's going to be amazing. Not at all. educational tours like this, if we're going to these 4 different cities and all these different places and doing all these things, we're busy. And again, this is part of it being like a kid itinerary. It is packed moment to moment to moment. We're doing this, then we're going to this, then we're going to this thing, then we're on a bus for 2 hours to get to the next spot. Then we're going to go do this, then we're going to go do that. Then you fall into bed late at night and you're just exhausted. Then you get up the next morning at like 7 and go do it again. So you need to understand that if you're thinking about going on this, this is not relaxing on the beach for a week. It is definitely going from places to places to do as many cool things as we can do in a week and to see as much diversity of this incredible country that we can see in a week or 8 days. The other thing that it isn't, and I want to make sure we're really clear on this too, not a vacation, it's also not a party. This is not spring break at Daytona. That is not, not my thing in any way, shape, or form. So it is still a school-related trip, although it's not technically sponsored by the school. It's independent of the school. But still, our rules and policies still pretty much apply. So it's not a drinking trip. It's not a, go crazy and just be nuts all the time kind of trip. It's, like I said, we'll be busy anyway, but like I said, not a party and it's not a vacation. It's a tour and you go to a lot of different places and do a lot of different things. So be prepared to be exhausted, be prepared to sit on a bus. You saw bus face. You're going from place to place. You pass on the bus for a couple hours, wake up someplace new. Cool, let's go again. And that's kind of how these trips sort of feel. They're definitely very active. That's one of the reasons why I kind of don't encourage adults to go, because adults a lot of times don't like that. It's very tiring for adults to go to that. They're like, we want to sit here for a couple hours. Like, no, we gotta go. Get on the horse. Get on the boat. Let's go. Get the food. Run. Gotta go zip line. Yeah, and you get to the end, and I'll be like dying by the time I get back. Although like I said, I've done these before, and it's my kind of thing. I like this kind of stuff. I'm one of those people. I don't sit on a beach very well. It's just not in my wheelhouse. So we've already kind of mentioned this, but where we're going, if you don't know where Costa Rica is, it's in Central America. Just in case. Down south. It's not a very big country. So here's Mexico kind of up here, and then there's kind of a variety of small countries. So here's Costa Rica, there's Panama, then we get into South America down there. Costa Rica is an incredible country. It's the only country in the world without a standing army. They only have volunteers at that. They do not have a standing army. Very peaceful, very friendly, very open people just in general. It's a very safe country just in general. I've been there twice on these kinds of tours. Never once felt like there was an issue. I mean, other than the typical city issues, you can get pickpocketed anywhere, Tahoe, but it's a very safe country to go to and be around. And again, we're going to a couple of different zones within the country even. So even though that's a little tiny country right there, we'll start here and then kind of move over towards the Pacific coast is where we end up. So again, start at this side, go north, go over to this big volcanic region, and then go to the left. So anyway, when is it? Spring break. It's an 8-day trip that includes the travel days. So it's really 6 full days in Costa Rica, and then there's the 2 travel days in the end where you kind of have partial days and you get to and from. The good news for us in some ways is that Costa Rica is pretty much due south of us. It's in the central time zone. So it's only off by a couple hours, so there's no jet lag, which is really nice, as opposed to Europe trips. You're 10, 12 hours off, and it can be really disconcerting to try to come back and go to school. There is just the trip lag of being exhausted, but there's no jet lag for it, so there's not that piece. And then the flights are relatively short. We don't have to cross an ocean to get down there, depending on which way we go. Approximately, those will be the days. I've got it set up right now with the company that our earliest departure would be the Friday of finals, Friday night. I know occasionally they do red-eye flights on Fridays. It depends, or they'll schedule it for Saturday or whenever other groups are there. The way group tours work is if we're a small group, we'll get combined with other groups from other schools, probably other high schools, to make a full-size group. Full-size groups are in the range of 30 to 40 kids, depends on how big the bus is. So if we don't fill that bus, they'll fill it with a couple of groups. And so sometimes they have to kind of moderate the dates a little bit to make sure that everyone can kind of get on the planes and get down there at the same time. So I don't have perfect control over when that is. It's plus or minus about 4 days. So we could miss up to 3 days of school. If we leave late in the weekend and come back, it would be the first couple of days of the second semester of second term that we would be missing, which isn't a bad time to miss, just in general. That's kind of why I'm trying to squeeze it in here. But it's also why I picked a relatively short itinerary, so there wouldn't be for sure a lot of overlap. I don't want to miss a bunch of schools, a bunch of days, since I'm a teacher too, but the education and the stuff that kids learn on these trips, and I'm a teacher, the stuff that kids learn on these trips way outshines anything they'd ever learned in 3 days in school. I don't care what those 3 days in school were. At least I'm a teacher. So to me, it's worth it, even though it can be difficult to make up school days and all that kind of stuff. We will be departing from Reno, so it should be a relatively easy drive to get up there. Students will have to carpool or something like that to get to the airport. The school does not provide transportation. But that's kind of when that day is going to be. So it's about an 8-day trip. Like I said, there's kind kind of 2 days of travel on either end and about 6 full days, and they are as full as they can humanly make them when you're in Costa Rica. They are literally back to back with all kinds of cool stuff. And why do we want to do this? Well, because just like, to me, international travel in and of itself is inherently beneficial to all kids' brains and just how people think. But as we've got kids today that are, learning Spanish and never using it, well, hey, here's a great chance. You guys have been taking Spanish all the way through high school. Go order a Coke, I dare you. One of my favorite things is that I took French all the way through high school and through college, into college. And so the first time I went to Costa Rica, Spanish and French are similar. So I could read a lot of Spanish, but speaking Spanish is terrifying for me because it is not my language. And so we're sitting there the very first night that we landed in this little, kind of like a little shopping mall kind of area. And all the kids are sitting there like, oh my God, the signs are all in Spanish. What do we do? And I walked up and I'm like, that says ice cream, doesn't it, in Spanish? And I don't remember how to say it at this point, but I recognize the word. And I'm sure you guys know it, right? I'm like, that says ice cream, doesn't it? And like, yeah. So let's go get some. How do we do that? We walk up to the counter and say, por favor, and point and smile and say, please, And guess what? It worked. And everyone started smiling and laughing, and we all had ice cream that first night that we landed. And all of a sudden, the kids started to realize that your Spanish doesn't have to be perfect. It just try. And that effort of kind of putting what you've learned into use makes a big difference. Like I said, we live in a global society. More and more people are coming from more places. So the more opportunity I think our kids have to get out of town, to get out of the country, to go see how other people live, I think makes us a lot more thankful for what we have here, if nothing else, and thankful for kind of seeing how our world's actually put together. You never see what your country's like until you see how other countries and other families and other people are different and yet the same. So to me, like I said, it's instinctively beneficial, or just inherently beneficial. And getting kids out of their comfort zone, away from parents, it's big. Like, you're going to college in a couple of years. So here's like a mini version of it. Go ask for something. Go ask for, donde está el baño? You go figure that out, because they'll point and laugh and maybe you'll end up on the beach. But you know what? That's okay. You'll figure out where. That's the playa. I know that word too. But they'll get you to where you need to go. And it's okay to depend on each other as students, as their peers, to be outside of where their families can sort of rescue them, and to have to be able to make responsible decisions on their own. To me, that's a huge growth process. And like I said, I've taken 4 groups of kids on trips like this, and every time the kids have come back, markedly different people. Like, you can just see how much they've matured and grown on the inside, even though they're goofing around and making silly noises and dancing and doing whatever else that we're doing. So if you're at all still interested, if you're curious about signing up or how to pay for it or how much it is and all that stuff, this website, the EF Tours website, is definitely, they have a great website. Some of the stuff in the packets and paperwork and stuff that you've filled, if you've picked all that up, there's a big packet that has like all of their policies and all their official stuff that's on there. You're welcome to look through that. Like I said, it's on their website too. But if you go there, and that was the site that I had pulled up on this video earlier. So it's this one. No, you cannot ask me a question. But this is the actual tour site. So if you want to see what our itinerary is and get some information about what that is and kind of what that looks like, you can kind of see reviews and stuff that people have posted. You can also, find out like how that's not our price, unfortunately. Ours is a little bit more than that. It's pretty close. It's $28.50. It's not $27.90 because of the zip-line tour that's kind of built into that. So that's why there's an extra like $50 on there. But in terms of figuring out like a lot of their like rules and stuff like that, they have the resources and things down here. You can see all their policies. Like I said, it's a really good website. It is not, yes, it's marketing, but it's pretty honest in terms of what stuff is available and what isn't and kind of what it's going to involve. I would also really recommend, like this little video, go on YouTube and search Costa Rica EF Tours and see all the videos that kids have put together from their tours. You'll get a much better, authentic idea of what kids see. It's really interesting when I watch videos from this kind of stuff. When adults take videos, we show places. When kids take videos, they show people all the time. It's something different about, we want to remember like where we were and kind of what we saw and all the cool stuff. And kids, it's all about their interaction with their friends, the new friends that they made, and the cool places in the background. But it's like, hey, look at my cool friends. Yeah, there's a volcano. Hey, look at my cool friends in Rica. I mean, it's really wild to watch the different perspectives of how people put those videos together. So anyway, like I said, I would really recommend going to their website, and I can, that's not what I meant to do, and I can help you enroll as well if you want to. I want to go here. So other stuff that you need to know, if you're at all serious about registering for the tour, There's a tour number, and I can give that to you if you want it. I don't have it posted publicly because I don't want it just out there. I don't want this something where just people can just sign up and I don't know who they are or whether they would be good for our group or whether they'd be a positive member of our set or not. So if you're interested, just send me an email or have your kid approach me and I can give you that. I actually have little stickers that have them on there, so if you want one even today, I can give it to you. So you don't have to write it down. But then you just go and literally there's a button that says enroll, and you type in that little number and it'll bring you directly to our page with me as the tour guide or the tour director or whatever I am. Anyway, they'll put me as the tour director, and then it'll link you up with our group. So anyway, that's kind of a big thing. In terms of payment and stuff like that, you saw the price. It's not cheap. It is about $28.50, I believe, is what it is right now. By the end of the month, it's going to go up a little bit more. They always kind of do price increases through the season. And that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. I mean, there's no doubt that that's not just, I don't have that in my pocket. It's a decent amount of money. It includes everything, and I just want to make sure that you as parents are clear on that. The only thing that $28.50 does not include is souvenirs. These particular tours, it's the airfare, it's all of their hotel rooms. They'll be in rooms of 4 students, but it's all their hotel rooms. It's all of their transportation in Costa Rica, which is a coach bus. It's nice buses. It's not like school buses or rickety, scary things like that. They're nice, big reclining seats. You can sleep on them kind of buses. It's all the admissions to any of the national parks or any of the other activities. So when you see them doing zip lining or kayaking, whatever, it's not like, oh, by the way, did you want to zip line today? It's not $50. That's all included in the price, including, like I said, zip lining, whitewater rafting. There's a boat tour, there's snorkeling. All those different activities are part of that price. And then what's kind of cool about this one too is that the meals are all included as well. So we get 3 meals a day. They're served kind of family style. It's really cool. It's the last 2 times I was there. Open air family style, which is really cool. There's usually like a kind of like a patio. It's got a roof over it. They usually have a buffet of usually gallo pinto, which is beans and rice. It's black beans and white rice. Gallo pinto means it's chickens. I don't remember what pinto means, but gallo is chickens. So it's like black and white chickens is what it looks like, and it's something like they eat with every single meal. But you get gallo pinto, and it's so delicious, and chicken and all kinds of other stuff. Usually American kind of breakfast, eggs and coffee and all that sort of. It's coffee. It's a coffee country, coffee in every meal. And then usually dinners, again with kind of chicken and rice or tacos or burritos. They'll do like an American night, which is always really awkward because it never tastes like our food. We made you the Costa Rican version of burgers, and it's like, wow, this tastes really strange. Or then we make pasta for you, like I don't want pasta, I like noodles. I can have that at home. So they like I said, it's all the meals though. If you want any other snacks. A lot of times as we're traveling, like from place to place, they'll stop at little kind of touristy, like the Costa Rican equivalent of a truck stop, kind of touristy gas stations. They'll fill up the bus. They usually get you out. There's like a little there's a little store. You can go buy Cokes and stuff like that. Go buy some snacks. You grab cookies, whatever. And then you can a lot of times go and talk to the shopkeepers or buy little trinkets if you really want to, but you don't have to. And that's totally optional. So like I said, that price, it does include everything that's on it. One of the nice things when I took my kid on a trip, they do a payment plan. They can split it over 5 payments. It's only 5 right now because of when the trip is, and what the regulations are in terms of payments. It has to be paid in full like 100 days before the trip starts. So that's why it's only 5 payments, 5 months between now and when you have to finish paying. But it does certainly help. I know for me, trying to come up with that much cash off the top of my paycheck certainly wasn't going to happen, but I could do it over a couple of months. And there's different options that you can do if you want to arrange on that. Other thing to kind of consider if you're thinking about this is the stuff called trip insurance. I did not put it on in the price. It's optional, but that includes things like if you have to cancel at the last minute because a parent loses their job or you get sick or you get injured, you break your leg and all of a sudden you can't go. It also helps to cover things like lost luggage, stuff like that. Some credit card companies already include that. So you might want to check with your companies before you buy their insurance, but it's not a bad idea. It's about $155. I don't remember the exact prices in that range. So, but that's your choice if you want to do something like that. The other thing that you need to make sure that you have and you need to think about is you have to have a passport. And that passport must be valid for 6 months after we return. So if we get back in April, May, June, July, August, September, October, that means it has to be good through at least October of 2019. So check if you have a passport and check the expiration date. And again, that's a lot of times because of going through immigrations and stuff like that back into the United States. So sometimes for some students, getting a passport can be one of the more challenging hurdles to get through if parents are divorced or there's other sorts of custody issues or whatever. It does not have to be an American passport. just has to be a valid passport. So if you've got dual citizenship or something like that, that works as long as it's a valid passport. So kind of keep that in mind. But again, if you've got parents that are divorced, then you do have some issues with a child leaving the country and making sure there's permission from both parents. That kind of goes along with the whole passport issue. So that's something that's an easy thing to Google. You can kind of look up how do I get a passport. I believe you can get them here at the DMV at State Line. The police officers down there. It's not, if you go at the right time, it's not too bad a process. So anyway, so there's that. Questions on that kind of stuff at all? Yeah.
Yeah. Do they need any shots before they go? Are there any like bug sprays or malaria or anything you have to be concerned about? Because I know you're going to be in the rainforest. And do they need a checkup before they go?
It's not a bad idea. The one thing, you know, in terms of normal high school checkups are usually fine. Normal high school shots are typically fine. The one you definitely want to make sure you've got an update on is tetanus, right? The one thing is, you know, we are down in mosquito country. There's not really stuff for malaria. It's not really a malaria country too bad. I have to look at Zika. That's the other one that's kind of down in there. And that's more of a threat if you're at risk of being pregnant or becoming pregnant soon after exposure to those mosquitoes. So that would be an issue there. But no, we have not had an issue with needing extra shots or anything like that. That's not like diphtheria, yellow fever, scary stuff. So thank goodness, right? So yeah, no, that country is actually relatively safe in terms of shots. So I've never gotten anything fancy other than my tetanus shot, and I always make sure I get that booster before I get anywhere outside the country. But yeah, typical checkup just to make sure you're healthy. Yeah, or you buy it. You know, you can get refills of water and all that kind of stuff, and it's cheap to buy, so it's not a big deal there. We never had an issue with feeling like we were thirsty or didn't have access to it. There was easy enough stuff that you could buy bottles and refill them. Usually at the restaurants they would have like drinkable water. You could just refill your container from there. So no, it's been pretty good. And even their electricity isn't too bad. So like trying to deal with like surge protectors and stuff like that, they're still on the same 110 that we are. I think they even use the same outlet. I don't remember having to use a surge protector, like an outlet converter or anything like that when I was there. So have you been there recently? Does that sound right?
I've been to Guatemala.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty much similar. And money-wise, even a lot of places there, they use American dollars. They'll take American currency. Even they favor it over actually local currency. So it's not difficult to do a lot of those things. And if you decide that you want to go on this, I'll lead you through that whole process as we get going. Like I said, this will be my 5th trip. I've done this before. I'm not kind of new to this at least. But like I said, if we get into that and you decide, yep, I'm in, we can get into more of those kind of nitty gritties, sure, as we get going, so you don't feel like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to starve. Credit cards always work. It sounds lame. Well, as long as there's Wi-Fi, they pretty much always work too. So I've had to do that as well. Yeah.
So that's buffet, so they're pretty good with like allergies and stuff.
Yeah, and you can state if you've got allergies in advance. If there's life-threatening ones, we probably need to know really early, like especially like nut allergies, stuff like that. A lot of food is vegetarian or close to it. Vegan, I don't know about. Yeah, that's changed since the last time I traveled with a group of students. But yeah, they're pretty sensitive to food allergies, so these are pretty good. Yeah, good food, by the way. Our kids never went hungry on these trips. Some of the Europe trips, they went hungry. Like if you go to Europe and they give you like this little tiny piece of fish with some sauce and you're like, ew, gross. But the food here, as long as you're not like a super picky eater, there was plenty of food for kids. The hunger was not an issue for our guys. Tiredness was an issue. Hunger was not an issue on the Costa Rica trips. So that was pretty good. Fun stuff, kind of where we're going. We start in San Jose. It's a historic downtown. We'll get to go see one volcano, it's Poas volcano. Peek over the top and it's an active caldera with a lake in there. We get to go to it's a coffee plantation. You get to go see how coffee is made and how they harvest it, all that kind of good stuff. When we go to the next area, which is kind of due north, Sarpiki, has a canopy tour, kind of a cloud forest, rainforest kind of zone. I believe, and this is where the zip lining is. They also do whitewater rafting there, so it's kind of an exciting spot. We get to go learn how chocolate gets made. That's what chocolate looks like. Yeah, cacao beans, whatever. That's how they start off. So we get to go to a coffee, or saying that. Chocolate making kind of demonstration in that zone, which is super fun. This is one of my favorite zones in the whole place, is this area called Arenal. That's the name of this volcano. You get to go kayaking at this lake that's right at the foot of the volcano. It's so amazing. If we get lucky, when we get there, sometimes it's active at night and you can go up and look at it and see like lava and stuff, small bits of it, not like huge. Not dangerous, it just kind of leaks lava out. You can kind of see the red streaks down there. It's not like you're gonna explode.
It's kind of leaks lava.
No. It's actually good that there's lava flowing. It's when the lava stops flowing that you gotta, it sometimes is building up pressure on the inside. So ones that are actively releasing the lava flows, that's a good thing in actually most of the world, as opposed to we kind of think of like it's dormant. That's great. That's actually kind of scary. And we'll hear the history that usually you end up talking to is like some of the elders in the area, and they'll tell you kind of about there was a massive explosion quite a while ago and kind of what that was like in some of the villages down there. So anyway, that's a super cool to go kayaking there. This is a big waterfall. These are the people. It's a huge waterfall called La Fortuna, so you get to go hike down there. You can swim in the pool of the falls at the bottom. It's cold water. It's not warm water. That's really fun. We get to go to a place. It's a resort that's called Baldy Hot Springs. That's actually heated from the geothermal from the volcano. And this is like a resort, man. I mean, it's like beautiful tile. Like I would pay to go there. So that's kind of a fun. For me, I like that. Some kids don't like hot springs, but I like it. Then we go over towards the west coast, and that's called the Costa region. And this area is a little bit different in terms of its ecology. It's a little bit drier in the summer and drier in the winter, wetter in the summer. So they have a slightly different kind of range of ecosystems up there. They have like a little Yellowstone kind of park. This is Rincon de la Vieja National Park, where they have like mud pits and geysers and cool stuff that you can go see there. We get to go hike around there. Like I said, it's a little bit different topography, a little different terrain. You get to do a really cool boat tour up this river, lots of wildlife and birds, and I can't remember the official name, but there's Jesus lizards, the ones that run on top of water. You get to see them. It's super cool. They're really fun to watch. There's lots of crocodiles and all amazing things over there. And then we get to go scuba diving, snorkeling. I'm assuming it's in the Pacific, and go snorkeling around in that zone and kind of go see some fish and things like that. So you can tell I'm an adventure person. I picked an adventure itinerary. I'm not a city person. I'll do a city trip next time. I'd like to alternate them. I can't do all one or the other. But like I said, that's a lot of cool things. And I didn't mention those guys. Monkeys, lots of monkeys. 2 different kinds of monkeys. Actually, there's maybe 3 different kinds of monkeys. And they're sloths. Look at that face. How can you not want to see that face? They're super slow. They're super slow. They fall out of trees. Yeah, they're not the smartest animals. Just chill. But yeah, howler monkeys. These are the little thieves, man. The white-faced monkeys. Those guys. If you leave your bags open on the beach, they will come and steal your stuff. They'll actually distract you. Like you'll see a group of monkeys and they'll be like, "Hey, look at the silly monkeys!" And so you're like, "Oh, look at the silly monkeys!" And then behind you, the monkeys sneaking up, stealing in your backpack. They know how to use zippers. Little buggers, yeah. So they're super fun to watch. Those guys do tons of birds, lots of interesting bugs. Cool. You get like geckos and newts and lizards and things like that. These are not American hotels, okay? These are Costa Rican hotels. So you're gonna go and you're gonna sit in your spot and you're gonna open the window and there's no screen. You're like, "Dude, there's bugs in here." It's Costa Rica. Yeah, there's a gecko on my ceiling. Cool, watch it. But it's in my room. Yep. Yeah. What's it doing? Sitting there. So it's real different. We're not staying in Motel 6, It's not super clean. We're definitely not staying at the Ritz. We didn't pay for the Ritz. But in terms of the places, it can be a little rustic. And if you're expecting this to be a vacation, you're going to be disappointed. If you're expecting it to be a crazy, wild adventure with all kinds of stuff happening and stuff you never thought you'd get to do, then you're on the right boat. To me, I'm all about adventure, like I said. So it's super fun. Like I said, I've done 2 of these kinds of trips to Costa Rica. I've never done this exact itinerary, but I've been to almost all of those locations on the tours that I have been on. So like I said, I'm excited to go back. That's why I picked it. I thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of squeeze a trip in this year. I didn't want our seniors to miss their chance to go on a trip there last year. I also didn't want our juniors to miss their chance to go on a trip this year, because if I don't schedule one until next year, it'll be after the juniors have graduated. And I didn't want them to miss that opportunity to go on a tour. When we do summer trips to Europe, they're longer. They tend to be more like 2 weeks, 12 days to 2 weeks. They're also correspondingly more expensive. Europe is more expensive in general, and then the longer trips are more expensive. So it's not affordable, but it's more affordable than a Europe trip would be. To me, it's just as cool as going to museums and stuff. Look, there's a painting. Neat. Not on my wall, but that's kind of what it feels like. Hey, look, we're in a plaza. There's a dude on a horse. She actually looked. I said, "Look, there's a painting." She's like, "Really?" Cool.
I'm trying. The teacher says, "Look, you look."
So anyway, yeah, I know, right? You've been here for so long. So yeah, cool wildlife, cool things to do. What kinds of questions do you guys have that maybe I can help answer? It can be short questions, long questions. Like it's overwhelming. Yeah, go for it.
What's the deadline to decide?
I would suggest before the end of the month, if possible. You can sign up all the way until whenever the last 110 days is before. But then you're literally dropping a chunk of change. Boom, it's all at once. You got to pay the whole thing up. I think if you sign up early, they ask for it's like a $95 deposit. Are you actually serious? So that you don't just have people signing up and backing out, signing up and backing So they will ask for a deposit. They're not scamming you. That's a real thing. They'll ask you when you sign up, do you want to add insurance? That's a decision. You can always add it later. You don't have to add it right there. But that's something that you don't have to decide right now. I'm not trying to pressure you. It's the only reason that I would sign up as early as possible would be for the planning parts. Being able to spread out the payments for me is useful, and then being able to kind of set things in gear like, yeah, we really are going to do the passport and get that stuff going, because the passports can take a little while. Yeah.
Speaking of, is there like a fundraiser site or anything that you can do to help?
Good question.
Raise money?
I hesitate to do fundraisers. I've done it in the past. So here's the issue with doing fundraisers. There's so many fundraisers here anyway. The amount that students tend to make is so small compared to the size of the trip that people think I'm going to do all these fundraisers, and then they end up making like $100. So I tend to not do fundraisers for these kinds of trips. I can, but again, a small community like this is what I ran to in my old school. Small community, yet one more group of kids asking you to buy one more thing, $17 bag of popcorn. So we could, but they've never been monetarily, it seemed like to me like the amount of money that the kids earned was never quite as much as the work that went into it in the first place.
Well, I guess my other thought on that is, like, is there like a GoFundMe site? Like, when we went to Washington, D.C., there was a link or something that you could share if you wanted to help support the trip.
Oh, okay. And kind of reduce the cost for everybody kind of thing, or for like individuals?
Yeah, it says that each person gets their own fund page, so then you can send the link to people and they can.
I'm reading this right now. This is new since the last time I ran a tour here. So in this
Page 10.
that educational tours book, it says ask for the gift of travel. Oh yeah, look at that. Every student who travels on any of tour gets their own tour donation page. There you go. So perfect. Yeah. Did the Washington trip, is it through the same company? Was it EF as well? 10, 11. 10, 11. Hey, cool. I learned something new. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Especially if you got families, friends, and there's people that will approach things like Tijuana or
Be like Daniel.
Slower. Very slow.
You want a sticker? Yeah. They're not like it, there's stickers with the tour. They're not like my stickers.
Can I get a sticker?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, you can come back for me. Come get one whenever you want to. You want a sticker?
There's like a,
It's the tour number.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I know. You don't make that much money. That's the issue.
but people are like willing to buy dollar candy. I'm gonna do that one.
I think maybe, but I think I'm more just gonna be like, Mom, send this to our entire family.
But,
If I can out for the first time and take everything out of it.
early graduation, there's Christmas gifts.
Mom, I don't need a card. Just give me a
Well, and that's what I did. My kid, that's why she wrote the guys with a little card.
I have a card, it's missing a mirror and the
Parents
headlight and.
who haven't taken vacation in years, and it's like that comes down to me.
I am, I'm taking one.
You-
But
No,
this is cheaper.
we went on all of the vacations.
Why did we take it? It's like, I don't know, I wasn't gonna have it in my memories.
Like one when I was like a baby, one when I was like 5, and then one when I was like
You were 3, it's like, I don't remember.
I know, right? I remember that.
Or like,
So-
I feel like anything under like 12, I remember it, it's like really